Hey everybody, on this episode of the Timeless After Show, we're talking Season 1, Episode 7, Space Race. Find out what our team does when they see that the moon landing may not make it back to Earth. That was a terrible intro. Let's do it.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Ooh, look at that.
If you're a 90s baby, you know exactly who this is.
I don't know who this is. I've never heard it.
I don't know.
It's Savage Garden.
Oh my gosh, that's great, guys. Hey everybody, welcome to the Timeless After Show here on AfterBuzz TV. I promise to do better speaking words that out of my mouth for episode talking. Timeless. I'm
You have
sinking.
great words. You have great words. You have the best
Sinking
words.
as this goes.
Oh, where are you
All
going?
right, I'm leaving. Everybody, take care.
I'll sing with you.
Somebody fix this chair.
Sing with
All
you.
right, yay. Everybody, we'll be breaking down Season 1, Episode 7, Space Race.
Do you need a different chair?
Yes. I'm one of your hosts, Frank Moran. You can follow me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie for whatever amount of time I'm still on screen.
Do you need a different chair? Or is
trying
that...
to
We'll
sing-
see. We'll
I'm
see what
trying to
happens.
sing-
Still on
I'm
there.
trying to sync
still
with
here.
you. I'm Alexis Torres. You can find me where all shenanigans will ensue at ATorres890. That's ATORRES 890. I will also be shrinking with Frank on this side of the table.
Well, I think we're okay on this side. I'm like, yeah, we're good. What's up, guys? My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane. And then Alexis and I are both still in the chat, so feel free to chat with us if you're watching this live. And if you're not, feel free to leave comments down below. We love hearing what you think about the show.
Yes, and Carrie likes to know what you think about how she looks.
No.
And she likes...
No, it's fine.
Yes, okay,
You're
I won't
good.
go into it. I'm Chris Howard with a mustache tonight.
Yes.
And yes.
What?
Yes. It's Princess Bride thing because he has got all that comic stuff going
Okay.
on and anime, and so I had to be
Yeah.
the Dread Pirate Roberts.
Yes.
So you can reach me at Chris Howard Live on both Twitter and Instagram, or chat with us on the chat here. We're having fun.
That's right.
I can't speak either.
Yeah, you can. Thank you, Chris,
Yeah,
for
either.
supporting me in
Yes.
my endeavor to better talk words.
I
Yeah.
did it for
This
you.
episode. So, folks, yes, as Chris was mentioning, you can like us on Facebook, give us those 5 stars or even a 1-star review on those iTunes. Yeah, we'll take any star
No.
review that you can give us there.
No. It's
better than
Also,
that.
subscribe.
5 or 4 stars because the other stars do not work.
Oh, there you go.
I said
5 stars. And thumbs up on the YouTube.
And thumbs up. And also hop in the chat, as Chris was mentioning. Carrie's
Yes.
got it. Alexis has got it as well. So share your thoughts about the series in general
Yes.
or this episode in particular.
Yes.
Pretty fun episode. Everybody seemed to be
It's exciting.
always
very good.
exciting to watch the show with Alexis.
Yes.
Alexis has fun. Like she comes and the party starts like the moment she's dancing.
That's not true.
And no, it's true.
Not true.
She's
Don't
dancing
listen
and
to
like
her, guys.
Hands up,
to
bar, like,
responding to everything before it
Face.
happens. The moon land, both of you two. The moon thing lands in
Oh,
the
it was
beginning, and you're
exciting.
like, yeah.
Yes.
It's like we know it lands. We've lived it. It's our history.
still
Hey, it's like
cool.
people watching Titanic. They still want to see it. It's still exciting.
All right.
I
Do you
mean,
guys hear me okay? I don't hear me.
I can hear you.
I hear you
okay.
perfectly.
Maybe my ear volume is very quiet.
Well, as Chris mentioned,
There we are.
Your ear volume.
Yes.
the beginning of the
What's in here?
episode and begins with our astronauts landing on the moon, and you never know with Timeless because you don't know if we're seeing what we're seeing is how history unfolded or has something changed already.
Got
so
it.
that kind of
Yes.
gives it a little bit of suspense. Is this moon landing going to go according to history, or has Flynn and his crew already disrupted something?
That's true. We don't know at what point they've already affected history.
Yes, but as we find out, they did not affect history at this point yet. The moon mission, they land successfully on the moon. But that's where things start to go wrong
Now,
after that.
y'all were going crazy the moment you saw the black woman in the.
Yes, because
Yes.
that is Katherine Johnson. There is a movie coming out called Hidden Figures where
Yes.
this obviously was the time where if you were in a job, usually if you were of color, you had to be in a different part of the building. And so, but the fact that Katherine Johnson was the woman who helped with the landing, she helped with Apollo 13. She's a mathematician. Like literally, she can, if you give her a math problem, she can do it in her head, and it's awesome. And she's been part of NASA like pretty much all her life.
So she was like the brainiac behind the scenes,
Yeah,
Yes.
pretty much like. But there was a whole
but
team.
never
of
got
women.
the
Yeah.
real credit.
Yeah, because I
They
mean,
didn't really
it-
show the other team, but that'd be too much story probably.
No,
to deal
but
with
that's
this
what the
episode.
movie is for, which is
Yes.
Hidden Figures. If you want to go find out more information about that team, you can on that movie
And,
that's coming
and
out.
we were discussing of, do we think when they wrote this, because they said there's a movie about her, and
Yeah,
I'm
after
like,
they changed
They could
history, they said
have
now there's a
they could
movie
have
about
done
her.
reshoots for that maybe when they found out the movie.
I think that's cool though, because then that
Yeah.
really makes the show timeless.
Oh!
Boom.
I'm done.
Did you write
done.
that down? Did you think about
No.
that?
I'm gonna be over here.
All right.
Wow, somebody hired
But
her.
it's very they're
Put her on
being
TV.
on the spot in the moment and like adjusting, which is great because then that really reflects what's going on right now. So then they're not just being the past, they're adjusting to the
Yeah.
present, which is cool.
I
No,
love
that's
it.
true. In fact, when this gets released on Blu-ray after the season wraps up, they will go back into reshoots just to adjust anything that's happened between
Yes.
now
And then-
I
yes.
thought you were
Yes.
talking about our after show for a second.
That too. There's gonna be reshoots for
When we
that.
release on
Yeah.
Blu-ray.
That's right. Yep. Get ready for the Timeless After Show Blu-ray
Yes.
release. Oh my gosh, you can see
Yeah.
great special features like everybody talking about me sinking. That special
Are you
episode.
doing it again? Are you just standing?
I'm just standing, guys.
Okay.
Guys, I'm gonna stand.
Don't give it away.
I'm sorry.
Looked real good.
I wonder if we could somehow go
It
back
looks
in
good.
time and change your height.
That really? Oh. I don't know. What do I
Just asking.
I think
No.
that'd be changing his parents. That's about
Okay.
it.
I
not
wouldn't
his
mind
fault.
that. I wouldn't mind that. So getting back to
Anyway.
our
Talking about
episode here.
timeless, right?
Yeah, this is about timeless, not Frank's ancestors and his height issues. But speaking of ancestry, that does kind of play into this episode as well. But we also start off with Flynn, and we get to see Anthony back in action. They are up to talking to one of the people that was in mission control for the landing. They're talking in present day, kind of getting a lot of information about what it was like on that day that they had the mission landing. And interesting, kind of, as the guy says, like, oh, in this house, I lived here, I'm going to die here. And you already just know at that moment, things are not going to go
As
well
soon as
for
he
her.
said that, I was like, no.
Did you think he was going to die in the past then?
No.
Or right then?
No, I thought that they were going
In
to
the
shoot him right
present.
then, but then when they left, I was like, okay, that's weird. And then when they showed up in the past, and I was like, oh, nope, this is where you die. That sucks.
This is look at that big smile as you say
No,
that.
because
That sucks.
It
No, it
does
does.
suck,
It's
but
like-
but you have to move the plot forward because
Man.
how else were they going to get
Yes.
an authentic card with the magnetic strip? Like that's huge.
So-
Didn't they just steal it from him and not kill him?
No, but he
Tie
didn't
him
have
up.
it. He didn't have
They
it.
took his name badge.
No. Oh, you meant
Present-
like
yeah.
in the past?
Yeah,
In the
so
past,
back
they
in the
could have
past,
just like
take the badge,
tied him
kill him.
up.
No,
and
because Flynn.
That's not what
they
they
don't
do.
care.
That's not how they
yeah,
roll.
they don't care.
But I liked that Anthony was kind of like, I really
Yeah.
didn't want to do that, but oh well,
Yes.
we're doing it. So.
No, you do find. I mean, Anthony, much like Rufus, is these are their heroes.
Yeah.
So you can see Anthony as they're starting to mess with this such a monumental event, not just to the world, but to him as well. He's very reluctant to kind of go.
That's
on, but he
interesting.
doesn't have a choice.
Did you guys read that reluctance from him? I
Yes,
didn't read
he
it as
seemed
much, but it makes.
more upset about it than usual.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, just
Yep.
like Rufus said in
Right.
this episode, this whole thing means a lot to them because the fact that they're doing something that in their time, at this point in time, was huge for them. Like,
Yeah.
nobody would think that you could put people on the moon, even if it was just for that specific
Yeah.
moment, just to walk. So
That's
the
what,
fact
that's
that
what I
time
miss when I
traveling-
tweet for a moment.
That's why you gotta stop
and
tweeting when you're doing the episodes,
Yeah.
man.
Okay, and
Stop it.
Do we think that the Ellis guy is he a real guy in history? Was his name
Which one?
One that we recognize? Ellis, the guy that was killed. Probably
The
not,
one who
right?
died, probably not.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I
well,
don't
he
know.
could have been.
Well, and if he was, it was wiped out in the timeline.
Yes.
yeah. Well, the
Right.
guy who we were talking about him, and I forgot his name, but the flat top and the vest. I think that's Kevin Costner's character, possibly
believe so.
in the
In the
Hidden
movie.
Figures movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was
or
like it's like
Ed Harris in Apollo 13.
Al
Yeah.
yeah,
Gene
exactly.
Kranz.
But it's funny because I think his name is Al Harrison, not Ed Harrison, but Al
Yeah.
Harrison. But yeah, I think that is what I believe. I don't really know
Yeah,
for sure.
I don't know.
Got it. Understood.
Yeah, so find out the plan is they want to go back and they want to use this punch tape to kind of change something going
I
on.
laughed at that.
Yes.
Yes.
It's cool
Because
to see where
I've seen that up close.
And their computers have
in
what, two-
college, and I was like, "What is this?" Like, I thought it was just someone that was just taking a hole puncher and just like going through it, but it actually means a lot of stuff.
What do they say? Their computers have 2 megabytes.
2
or
megabytes.
Two
Ooh.
megabytes of.
And it takes 10 minutes to
That's
load
fast.
everything up. That's fast.
Well, at least it's like their whole place. They have the 2 megabytes and not just like 64 kilobit kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because
Kilobit.
those computers. way
they're
back
cutting
when.
edge, guys. They're cutting edge.
64 Commodore 64. There we go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I knew what you meant.
So in addition to for Anthony to go back and use the punch tape to kind of mess things up there on Mission Control, there's also a woman named Maria that Flynn certainly has an interest in getting to see while he's back there as
I
well.
love how the writers and the director and just the show in general was able to make it look like that they were going to be involved, but really that they weren't. I mean, again, not to get
there was
too
like a
far away.
love. Yeah, no,
Maria
you're right.
and-
There was
Yeah,
a love.
like they made it look like that they were. Yeah, that they were, obviously there was love there, but
Maria
we,
and Flynn? Or no, who?
Flynn and his wife and his mother.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So like,
just
like
following. I'm like, make
no,
sure.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Like it was just like the way that their chemistry was. It kind of sent like that he was like, yeah, I'm gonna flirt with this woman and try to get what I need. But I was like, oh no.
And he
there's more to
watches
this.
her as
when
she
he's
walks
like, ice cream
from
truck,
behind.
you following me? I'm like, oh,
Ah,
that's the
so
creepiest pickup
creepy.
line.
But I loved that we got to see that it was trying to throw us off. But eventually,
Yeah.
all of us were sitting there going, "Wait a minute, something's not right.
Yes.
Right.
There's more to this story.
Yes.
I need to know what."
What I'm starting to enjoy in the show, though, is the economy of storytelling, especially at the top, where we don't have to say it. We have to have all along setup about, oh, Flynn's hot back to this
Yeah.
date and time.
Right.
We already
Just
cut to the
jumped
team
ahead.
already in the wardrobe department trying to figure out the right.
You know
clothes to
what?
Making
wear.
jokes about wardrobe and position. I like that.
Yes.
Oh, so
I get to be a
funny.
secretary. It's like says the guy whose only job is janitor. She's all touche.
Touche.
Yeah.
Love that.
I'm trying to think, like, if somebody didn't know the show, could they come in on this episode and still get the same experience? I kind of think so, but
Yeah.
I could be.
Well, there is an overall arc to the show, but they are semi one-off episodes.
right.
Kind
Yeah,
of.
to a point. You need
To
to
a
know.
point.
You need to know a little bit because if you watch this episode, you'd be like, "Oh, wait, what does she mean by you guys can? What about your sister? What did happen to
Yeah.
the sister?" So like,
There's always
still
that
something.
story,
So
yeah.
I would probably watch at least the first two to three
Yeah.
episodes, and then if you want to jump around,
Who
you can go
jumps
from there.
into shows anyway?
Some people do that.
I
Some people
can't
do that.
I do that.
I don't even watch it. If it's already started, I'm like, I'll just watch it later.
I do that. I jump
Ew.
in.
If you can't get access to the other
Yeah.
episodes, I was like, "I'll wait.
Yeah.
It's fine."
All right, fine, guys. I mean, yeah, be that way. All right. Missing out on some great TV while
Hey,
you're
come
at
on.
it.
We've talked about people leaving in the movie theater on Box Office Breakdown, going to the bathroom during the movie, and we were like,
How
How?
dare you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll
Unless
walk
it's
out of
unless
a
it's a
movie
Peter
if it
Jackson
sucks. If it
3-hour
sucks.
movie.
what?
The last movie I walked
No,
out
I
of.
paid
oh,
money
you know
for
what we walked
that.
out of? This is gonna be terrible because everybody likes this movie, but Fantastic Beasts. I walked out of that.
Oh, you can get out now.
Okay, we'll talk after. This
okay.
is way too long of
All
a
right.
discussion.
Anyway.
Oh, whoa. Rein it in.
I love Harry.
So we cut to our team already at mission control. Rufus, I like how he's absentmindedly dumping the ashtrays while he's
cigarette
just
butts
watching
and-
everybody like, oh my gosh.
No, but that was a
the
job.
cigars.
I know somebody's grandfather who did that. Not
Wow.
not in NASA, but like in an office
Yeah.
or something like that. And I was like, that's so crazy. That was your job. Was just throwing out cigarette butts. Like that's crazy. I mean, that's part of the janitor's job, but like that was like his specific job.
But just to think, I mean, back at that time when smoking, the restrictions
smoke
weren't what they were.
anywhere.
Yes,
Yes.
just the cloud of smoke that filled like mission control.
They
You're just like,
didn't just have
"Ugh."
cigarettes, they had cigars.
Oh yeah,
too.
there were cigars in there. I mean, but also it was a big day too.
That too.
Could you imagine just
Welcome,
smoking
guys.
cigars around the office? That would be horrible.
Oh, that whole I can't.
It's like going to Vegas and walking through the casino, and you're like, I reek of cigarettes.
Oh yeah. I feel like I have to shower after.
I just really liked Rufus's excitement seeing all his heroes in the same space. It's like, oh my gosh, guys, it was a cool way for them to give us exposition without it being like, here's exposition. It's just like, this is my hero. I like that.
And it makes sense because the fact that, like I said, like they built something that was going to do something
Yes.
that they didn't think was possible, and it was the same for these
Yes.
guys too.
They're doing neat stuff with Rufus's role though, like giving him a lot of meat. That
Yeah.
really-
I'm
I don't
so
think
happy.
I don't think any
I'm
of us expected
so
that.
happy
Yeah.
about it.
Yes.
That scene of Rufus kind of geeking out is intercut with Anthony doing what he needs to do over in Mission Control, where he's kind of going using the punch tape, getting the magnetic reels and everything, and doing what he needs to do to sabotage the mission.
It's so weird because the actor who plays Anthony, he plays one of my favorite characters from another TV show that he was in called Eureka, which is also a very sciencey kind of show. But he's not a villain. He's this dorky Australian, like I want to invent things and blow things up. Like it was just like it was awesome seeing him like be excited about stuff. So see him kind of like work really fast and have to pretend like nothing's happening is something that reminded me of that. And it was just kind of nice because I'm not used to seeing him as villain roles anymore, but that's usually what he plays because he has the face for it. But yeah, it was just kind of nice to see more of him in the show since it's usually in passing.
And we loved Abigail's dress and her makeup, the pink lipstick, and it looked.
Well, yeah, Kari and I were talking about the fact that they've always been on point with their wardrobe, but I felt like they really got her this time because the fact is, as a secretary, you're not supposed to stand out as much, but also in the 60s, 60s, everything was about having a pale lip and more doing it with your eye makeup and stuff like that.
Though I
So,
did think her outfit looked very British.
It did. It did.
Cute, but very British.
Yeah, I agree.
But that could have been like, that's what's in fashion in London.
Yeah.
So they do something.
So she wore that.
Just,
London original.
You know.
Yeah.
Well, certainly Lucy's arc through this episode is dealing a lot with the sexist nature of the people back in
Yes.
the 60s. Yes.
She
So
puts him in his
proud of her.
place.
Oh, that was so good. Well, because that was a nice way to alter history without like altering history. Because like the other two women heard it, and maybe they'll be like, maybe I might not let him do that either.
Yeah, because they weren't. They looked shocked for like a split second, but at the same time they're like, Yeah.
So if you haven't seen the episode yet, the guys at NASA were asking for coffee and that type of thing, and she put him in her place.
Yeah.
I had a guy when I worked at Blockbuster, and he left and he said, "Thanks, Toots."
Oh, I hate
And I'm like,
that. Who uses that
That's
word
not as bad
anymore?
as what you said you got on social media the
Yeah,
other
no,
day.
it's a different one.
Yeah, that's a
I
totally
don't
different.
think we can even say it.
No, please don't. Please don't.
Right.
Be careful with your comments, people. We do
Yes.
read them.
So unfortunately, the plan goes, Flynn's plan and Anthony's plan goes
Yes.
without a hitch, and they lose communication with the mission of the astronauts
But
there on the
so
moon.
smart for them. I mean, again, this is not like, oh yeah, I'm so glad they did it. It's just, it made sense for them to make a modern computer virus, bring it back to a time where computer viruses didn't even exist, and give them the ultimate, like, oh, that's crazy. And then
Oh,
that's,
yeah.
that's why I was freaking out, was like, that's their only communication.
Yep.
Everybody who's stuck on the moon is just like, Houston,
Yeah, and they realized.
Houston.
It's
No?
just even crazy
Bueller?
thinking about that time, essentially having a walkie-talkie to
Yeah,
on Earth
that's
to
it.
the moon.
That's it. You
That's
might,
it.
you
To the
might as
moon
well
and
have 2
walkie-talkie
cups on a
juice.
string. Like,
Yeah.
that is literally what they have. That is
It's a
it.
really long string to go to the moon.
But you know what
Well,
I
it's
mean?
just
Like,
kind of crazy of like that technology at that time. Like just even now, like thinking that you could call someone on the moon, be like, "What's up?"
yeah.
It's just crazy.
No,
that,
just even just the fact that you can pick up your phone and talk to someone on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
but you can see
With
each
no
other's
connection,
face
with,
Yeah.
with no string, no nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's in the air.
And these old
Yes.
computers, they had all these, what were they, spinning
Oh.
reels?
Oh.
So beautiful.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I loved looking at that.
Yeah.
Just, yeah. It was great.
And we do find out now that if they sabotage the astronauts getting back from the moon and they end up dying there, that's going to completely change the space race. The
Yeah.
Russians kind of bowed out after the Americans landed. So if that doesn't change, if that does change, they're going to start getting more invested.
So they said the Russians stopped their tests of certain ballistic missiles
Yes.
and stuff. Would
Yep.
that happen?
Yep.
So,
once
huh.
Americans succeeded, they're like, "Meh,
All right, we're good.
yeah,
We're good.
Forget it.
We're not going to
Come
race
back
for that
later.
anymore.
Yes.
I guess. We'll see.
So they said they could actually change the effect of the Cold War and what direction it went if we didn't put the men on the moon. You know, in Australia, they believe that there's not all of the Australians, but there's a lot of them that believe that it was fake.
There's a lot of people here.
There's
who
people
think
here that
it's
think
fake.
it's
Are they
fake.
really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here at
Oh, yeah.
AFTERBUZZ?
No.
No.
Here in the U.S.
Yeah.
I have an uncle who's like that, and I just ignore him.
yeah."
Your thoughts?
No, hey, guys, it was Howard Hughes
Do
filmed
you
that whole
think
thing in
it's-
a
No, why
in a
bother?
warehouse.
It's
Yes,
like-
I always
Yeah.
thought there was like
Yeah.
a Hollywood like set. I've heard that's his.
They
thing that
kind of
did
they
it.
teased that on the commercial a little bit. What if the moon landing didn't happen and they were?
Oh yeah.
You kind of got a sense that it was like they were making it up in the commercials. So they kind of teased us with that.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's just a lot of people who are part of that team. It would just that seems like a lot of people to make it lie. That's
Yeah.
my own personal opinion,
Yes.
especially with Katherine Johnson. Like, why bring her story up now if it was fake?
Right.
No, it's
you
all
know?
true, guys. I mean,
Yeah.
in fact, even in Apollo 13, they sent Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton,
They
and
did,
Kevin Bacon
yeah.
into outer space.
Kevin Bacon went into outer space.
He did.
did.
Yeah, that's all true, guys.
Yeah,
It's all true.
all true.
They almost didn't make it back.
Yeah, landed in the ocean.
I don't
and
think
looked
Kevin Bacon
perfect
made it
coming
back,
out.
guys. I think.
Now we finally get a little history, a backstory on Anthony too, especially Anthony's and Rufus's relationship.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
very nice to hear about that.
And to find out that Anthony took the first lifeboat out there and
Almost
almost didn't make it back and was laid up in the hospital for 7 months.
Yeah.
Did they explain what injuries he sustained?
No.
Nope. They
They
just
were
said
vague.
they
Okay.
just said that they
In
were
the
big enough
hospital.
to be
Okay.
in the hospital for that long.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we
Um,
had time. I guess.
I
would have liked the
still-
flashback.
Later, when he talks to Rufus, I still feel his explanation is so weak, and I need more.
I thought we were gonna get more.
I feel like there's
Yeah,
gonna be
they'll
more
give
because
us more.
Anthony
I
is
just-
gonna be a part of it more. So
They're like, you don't understand. You're not gonna understand. Guess what? I'm standing right here. You can tell me.
but that's
just
how we
a
feel about
sentence.
everything that
Yeah.
anytime that they were there.
Well, now
like,
they did tickle us
It's
though
like-
with they said.
Well, if Rittenhouse gets the
yeah,
time
if
machine
Rittenhouse
and
gets
blah,
the
blah,
time
blah,
machine,
yeah.
you know what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
I was
But
so
it's like-
afraid that when they said that and Catherine was sitting back there going, I'm sorry, what?
The
what?
time machine.
Time
yeah.
machine, what?
Yeah.
What do you
Well, because
guys
it's
do?
like the time it takes them to say, you don't understand. Guess what? You could have given me one sentence explanation.
one.
Just give me something.
No, because then we wouldn't have like 2 or 3 more episodes after
Yeah, I
this.
know.
Or
But
another
still,
season.
What
yes.
would Rittenhouse do with the time machine if they got it? I mean, aren't they
I'm
already
sorry,
in
they can
control of
do.
everything?
They can literally do anything at this point in time.
So Flynn destroying the world's better than whatever they're gonna do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly.
I mean, clearly, maybe they were going to go back at these same exact points, maybe, and ruin the same. Like, I don't know. Maybe you just want to do it first. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Rufus says, "Wait, if we want to make this right, because I can't fix this virus because I don't have the skills to work with this, this
With the old computer.
yeah, this antique equipment there." Which I did like tied back into what Anthony was saying, that Rufus is not going to be able to fix this because he doesn't do well under pressure.
Which is so dumb. Then again, Anthony hasn't been there while Rufus was under this kind of pressure where he was left in, what was it, 17?
Even that was his
1754?
big pivotal moment, I
Yeah.
think. That
Who,
was his-
Anthony's?
No, Rufus.
Oh, Rufus.
Yeah.
Being the 1754 is having to deal with all that and
They
him
all changed
realizing,
then, yeah.
that was a big moment. And I love that this character has finally had like an arc and is changing and is not staying the same.
They all
Actually,
have.
Rufus
Wyatt
is-
has.
He's
Well,
one
Rufus
out of
has
all of
changed the
them,
most.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Wyatt
No,
changed
like
a lot though too. Wyatt changed a lot because
He's
now
a little bit
he's
more trusting, but I think Rufus out
He's
of the
more
three of
trusting,
them.
but he's also stepping into his role. Whereas before, he's being a leader. He's standing up. He's going after Flynn, shooting
I
after him to
guess.
kill. He's shooting to kill.
He's been doing that all the time. I feel like definitely
Rufus
Wyatt.
I thought he
has
was.
changed.
I thought he was
Yeah.
weaker in the beginning.
Rufus went from mousy to I shot someone and I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
no, you're right. He's changed the most, but I think Wyatt's changed a lot as well.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I can agree
Little
with
bit.
that. Yeah.
Have you guys
Baby
seen?
steps.
Sorry, speaking of Wyatt in the chat, apparently Woosie is the
Yes, that
Wyatt
is.
Lucy?
That's the ship. That's the ship name.
Woosie.
Woosie.
See, I was thinking
Ah,
that
guys.
Lucy might get together with Rufus, which would make
yeah,
it,
guys. Would that
would
throw
be
you
a
off?
twist.
Haha.
I'd be
If
okay with
Lucy
that.
and
Yes.
Rufus, I thought it would be cool, and then they show her in bed with Wyatt next
Yes,
episode.
we'll talk about that later.
Rusi. I like
Yes.
Rusi.
Not that I'm upset
Yes.
or jealous or anything, but what's up?
While they're going to go talking to Katherine Johnson, we've got Wyatt over at Lockman and finding out, talking to Maria's boss, which at least, other than him just being kind of terse with her at the beginning of the episode, is definitely not like the other, let's say, piggish men that we've dealing with in the episode.
Yeah, no, I love the commie thing was fun.
Oh, it was awesome.
It's a great way to
because
like-
everybody in that time was like, "Oh, what the Russians are doing? What? Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense." And like, I loved seeing the panic because that was a thing.
It
but
totally
also,
worked.
but I also like that there's always panic in every single era. We had Y2K, like that was
Yeah.
a thing. So I thought that was interesting to see.
Yes.
And we see Flynn tracks down Maria at a park, but she's there with her young son.
Creepy.
Yeah.
Creep factor.
And there was a lot of debate amongst us, like, what is the actual relationship between Flynn and Maria
Yes.
and the little boy?
We were trying to figure it out right there in the episode, and there it is.
We're
it's the
like,
son.
maybe
It's
he's the little
it's the
boy and he
brother.
changed
It's
his name, but
yeah.
wait, why does he have an accent? And then we
Yeah.
find out why.
Oh yeah, that whole
That was a
backstory
good
They put it
really
in.
helped out.
Yeah, because you're like,
That's
maybe
nice.
the actor just has an accent, and that's the way it is. But then they put in the
Yeah.
whole backstory.
No, but
It's context and
I mean, they
depth.
kind of have to.
They kinda-
but
Yeah.
no, I feel like it was kind of cool. One, to see his mom, the fact that
Yeah.
she's actually a really smart lady. That's
Yes.
awesome. Two, the fact that I like that we were able to get a little bit more of Flynn because all we know is from what has come out of his
They
mouth.
humanized
Yes.
him.
But also, I'm very upset. Again, I'm sorry, Frank,
No,
if
go
I
ahead.
jump ahead, but I hated the fact that they hid his file from everybody. What was
Yeah.
the point in that?
Well, they had his file, but it's not the
It
there were
was the
things that were taken.
unredacted.
yeah, it was
redacted.
redacted,
Yeah.
but it was just like still would have been nice.
If you're
to
chasing
have.
him, you should have all the info.
Yeah, because what if,
Yes.
like, again, we could have maybe not prevented it, but we could have gone to this time frame at
Yes.
one point because we knew he would have saved
Yes.
his half brother. I don't know.
But they also showed that, as far as we know, there haven't been a lot of bad repercussions as a result of the fact that he saved him. So
That's
it gives
true.
us the idea that
Yes.
it's possible to go back and save people.
And that's fine.
Yes.
I mean, even though I've argued the fact of like going back because it can ruin the timeline and things like that, I still I'm glad that he saved his half brother. That's fine. I would also be happy if Wyatt went to save his wife and Lucy went to figure out what happened with his sister. But you need to do this first. Find Flynn. Find out what's happening. Then you have a time machine. You can go back at any
sound like
time.
Agent Christopher.
But it's true.
Yeah.
No, it is very true. That's
It's
the
BS.
frustrations about that.
Yes.
Same thing about like we got to chase Flynn right away, going back to this time. Not when you're in a time machine.
It's like, guys, there's a time
Right.
machine.
Yeah, we
Come.
let- take
Literally
your
have
time. Take your
all-
time.
You have all the time in the freaking world to do whatever you want. Just do this one thing first.
Well, in our timeline of thinking Flynn was the little boy, it's not totally wrong. In the chat, they were kind of like, no, he'd be really old. I'm like, well, if he was born in the 60s, he'd be like, what, 40, 50 now?
Yeah, because my mom was born in 1972.
No, he wouldn't be 40. I'm 46, and I was born in 1970.
No, so he would be in his
60s to
50s.
He'd be 60s
2000.
would be like 55.
Yeah, he'd be like late-
Yeah, I
looks-
said
he
looks like
50s.
that.
I went there.
Yeah.
Well,
no,
you
you
said
said 60s. You
69.
said 60s.
Well, no, I said if you were born in the 60s, you could be the 40s to the 50s.
You said 40s to 50s, yeah.
But you could be born
So
in
I wasn't there.
1969.
I wasn't that old.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyway,
So
but it could be Flynn's possible age. We don't really know how old he is.
because
He could play 40 to 50 years old.
the actor has a great face, so he can literally act or be in that range of 40 to 50.
Yes.
Like, it's fine. He could also just look very mature for his age. I don't know.
It's 7 years later, they said?
I think so. I don't really know.
I think they said it was like 7 years later. Or even maybe 3. It wasn't that much later.
No,
So-
2 years later.
Only 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
so
she-
he's born mid 60s to late.
No, early 70s.
Wait, when was the
Because 69.
This is 69.
Oh, okay, so he's early 70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
Early
So it makes
70s.
sense.
So
So,
he's
like,
younger
early
than me.
40s.
Flynn's younger than me.
yeah.
What the fuck?
But
It's
yeah,
okay,
but like
Chris.
I said, like my mom is hitting age. I love you, Mom. 45, and she was born in 1972.
Whoa, just threw her out under the bus.
Love you, Mom. But
Whatever,
like,
Mom.
That was the- that was the-
Yeah.
because
that was the
because
band-aid.
my mom
Number.
looks, but my mom looks like she's 30.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what that is. So it doesn't matter. She could be in her 70s and she'd still like my grandma's 75 and she looks like she's 52.
So you got some good genes coming.
Girl, you don't even know. But yes, it does. It's just it doesn't matter. That actor could have played anything. So even though sure he could have. Thank you. Sorry.
Yes,
Your roles have
I
been
was
great.
thinking that too.
What does that mean?
We'll talk after.
I'm not gonna. I'm not bringing this up. So
Okay.
I will put my foot. No.
No.
But pretty much it doesn't matter. Even if he, let's say if that was him and he was in his 60s, it would have been fine.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been mad at it. I would have been like, okay, great. He looks really good and got great genes. High five.
It's hard to get you mad though. You kind of roll with every.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Susan, you probably, I don't see your face, but you probably look just like you're in your 30s too, girl. It's all right.
No, I like that in the chat that apparently they were asking how old someone was for saying that someone born in the 60s would be crazy old now.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. You know,
You know what's funny? I have to say.
Older.
They'd be older.
Maria Menounos just went to her high school reunion, and I wrote, "How old's that make you?" I tweeted her. I'm like, "How old does that make you?" And she said, "Wicked old."
See? So it doesn't matter. I mean, and also my mom had me when she was very young. So if you do the math, I'm 26, she's
too.
45, you figure it out. Like that's it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
one
This
thing
is
though-
all for me to make me feel better, but keep going.
There
Yeah.
you go.
Okay, moving on.
Yes, we do get a chance to have Flynn have a nice little conversation with Maria. We find out that it's about his mom, but they talk about family.
Yes.
Yes, and basically saying that Flynn just comes out and says, I did lose my wife and child were murdered, and Maria says, I would, if I found out any harm was going to come to my family, I would do nothing to make sure I wouldn't let anything stop me from getting.
Yeah, that was the line.
That's
I
a
was like,
neat moment, though.
oh, okay.
What about his line though that every memory I have of you, you're always sad?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming
Is it
was
because he
lost.
died?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
what I'm
brother had
assuming.
died. Okay.
Well, also, can we talk about how creepy it is to see some stranger having a needle in your son?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah.
Too much. But
But
I'm
then
glad
you're
that-
like, it's epinephrine. And you go, okay, I guess you're right.
But
How convenient a bee came by. And he had an epi. Well, if he knew.
No, he did
knew.
know.
He knew.
did. He went
Yeah,
back
this
to
was
do
the
that.
point in
Yeah,
time
that
where
was part of it.
That's
he was
true.
gonna lose his half brother.
Okay, fair enough.
But it makes sense because the fact that she moved on and
Yes.
found somebody and then had a kid 2
Yeah,
years
you have-
after.
But the question too is if her son died and then he doesn't die though, would she still move on the same kind of way?
I know. I thought about that
That's
too.
what I'm-
Would she still go work for Lockman?
Yeah, would it be the same timeline for her?
Maybe he's
enough
just-
because Flynn's still there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he hasn't disappeared.
Yeah.
It wasn't Back to the Future where he could see through himself.
But that
Yeah.
was kind of the thing. Yeah, it doesn't seem to have made that much of a change,
No.
other than her being maybe happy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but
about it.
but a cool story telling point to be able to go back in time and see your mother or anybody when they were happy. Back
Yeah.
at a
Yeah,
point where you
like
didn't know
that's
them.
awesome,
Yeah.
especially because she smiled quite a bit.
Yes.
during that
She's
point in
very
time.
pretty lady.
Oh,
And I think that was really a poignant moment that you mentioned a moment ago, where she said, "I would go after today into the earth
Yeah.
to see." Because then, and he says, and he looks in her eyes, and his eyes kind of water up, and he's like, "I'm
Oh, yeah.
glad. Thank you
Thanks,
for
Mom.
saying that."
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it kind of reaffirms the path that he's on, and now he's got his mother's
No.
approval, and
It
he
makes
knows
sense.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you
makes
see where it
sense.
comes from too. That kind of tenacity.
Yeah.
to
Right.
want to get the payback.
Yep.
So we also have Wyatt though watching all this from a car, and one of the cops stops him and he pulls out his ID, and we get our little nod to the pop culture moment. There's
Yes.
Agent Mulder from the
Loved
FD.
it.
Great.
So
I love
happy.
that he picked that. That's awesome. I was like,
That was
I
funny.
wonder if when they're getting their badges, he's like, "Can I be Mulder, please?"
and they're probably like, all
Yeah,
right,
sure.
send it to the badge maker.
No, okay, we kind of joked before that we were maybe getting a little bit over them using weird fake names. But was this a good way to use a fake name without it being like, okay, I want one?
Well, I mean, it wasn't like how he used Kanye. trying to make it.
Or even
Kanye was good the way they reviewed it.
they
Medicine
did.
Woman.
Yeah, like the fact that
That was a bit much.
the fact that he just needed just a name. It
Just
didn't
pick a
need,
name.
It didn't need to. The fact that he was FBI, it didn't need anything more backstory
Well,
than
because
that.
he also didn't say it. He just showed the badge, and the person says,
Right.
"Okay, thanks, Mulder."
Yeah.
So that was a more subtle. So then we
Yeah,
like
'cause he
that
wasn't-
better.
Yeah, because he
Little
didn't
bit.
But
run around.
we
telling-
did say that they can't go trouncing their own names throughout history. So
Yes.
it
Well,
makes
that's why I'm
sense.
also glad that they brought
Yeah.
back the fake names because
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna get suspicious
Yeah.
and it's gonna get weird.
Right.
Now we also have Catherine, Rufus, and Lucy. They're back there in the mission control room in the fixing everything.
Yes.
And Anthony and one of the henchmen come in, one of those dreaded henchmen. And Anthony doesn't want
Just
this
secu-
mission to get fixed.
Was he a henchman or just security guard? I felt he looked
No,
like
he was a henchman.
He looked like a henchman.
Oh,
he was a
okay.
henchman.
Then I don't mind them killing him. At
Oh,
first,
yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought he was like a poor
He
security
was,
dude.
No, he was
Right.
with Anthony. They walked in together.
Oh,
Yeah, he was the guy
Yeah.
that
Put a
killed
bullet in him.
our young mission control guy at the beginning of the
Yeah.
episode.
got it. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Sorry, this is another one of those. Oh wait, same dude.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm
So
still,
you're
I'm
talking
still
about
getting
that.
crap.
Thank you, chat, or thank you guys on Twitter for sending us
Yeah,
photos
I'm
and
still,
asking us
I'm
about
still
that.
getting
We didn't
crap
know.
for that.
I know, but you know what? In our defense, you only kind of saw it. Then it just and it's one of those
I wasn't
people
paying attention.
in
I was
different
also tweeting
outfits
at that
in
time.
different spaces can look totally different. Like if
The
you
shade,
see,
the shadows and stuff like
Yes.
that really threw me
So
off.
we didn't know, if you didn't see it, we didn't know that Lucy's father was
The guy who
with
wrote
Rittenhouse.
Rittenhouse, yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't
did
know
all
that.
of us know that?
No,
Not know
I think
that?
there was one
No,
of
it's
us
us
that
three.
knew
You
the
were good.
real story.
just
Yeah,
Frank.
you were the only person.
Yes.
You
All
know
right.
what? In my defense, in working in a video store, I had a uniform, and then someone saw me outside of that, and they totally had no idea who I was.
When I
But
check-
I'd seen them all the time. I'm like, really, guys?
When my hair is curly, people forget, and then I straighten it back to straight, and they're
Wow.
like, "Wait, wasn't your hair different?"
I've done the Superman thing, glasses, no glasses, and people not recognize
yeah, all
me.
the
And
time.
I'm like, are you
So
kidding?
what are you trying to say?
That it's really easy to not have that facial recognition.
So it's
Just
okay that we
saying,
didn't
guys.
notice it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
especially
It
when I wear
doesn't say
contacts.
anything about it.
Yes.
I feel like there's
Anyway.
a lot of CYA going on here in the Timeless After Show.
Okay,
so
wait,
in
good
the
question.
meantime,
Sorry, speaking of the goon, Ivan said in the chat, how many goons does Flynn have?
I
He has
don't
an
know.
unlimited amount of them.
Yeah,
It's true, they
it's
die,
like
they
playing
keep
like
popping
a,
up.
it's
like
like
the-
playing like a first-person shooter. Like
Yeah.
you just have like you have just
Yeah.
an infinity amount.
It's like the
infinite
costume room.
amount
It's
of-
like the
Yes.
costume room.
yeah.
You just
Just
pull out
keep
another
popping up.
costume.
Just, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if he like brings out followers the more he goes, or maybe
That's
he took
true.
hostages and they're like, yeah.
Or it's like-
Freelance for henchmen.
It's like the old Star Trek episodes. Whenever you see the
Craigslist.
new character that
Yeah,
shows up for
it's
the
Craigslist.
episode, you know that character's
Yeah.
the one that's
Yeah,
going
you
to die.
never like.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I like it.
Yeah.
I like that there's always new henchmen because there's
Yeah.
people dying all the time. So
course.
I'm always like, where are you
Henchman
coming
1,
from?
Henchman 2.
because
I
our
love it.
heroes can't die, so somebody has to
So
get
someone
died.
that's
That's
got to get those
Yes.
red shirts out, guys.
That's right.
Yeah.
So Anthony, who's so sure that he knows how Rufus is going to behave in these situations, finds out that it's surprised when Rufus grabs him and holds a gun to his head, and then kills the
proud of him.
henchman.
Good for Rufus.
I
Yeah.
still
For
wanted
Rufus.
Rufus to shoot him.
I wanted him to shoot him in the leg.
Yep.
Just to prove a point.
What
Yep.
would you have thought if Rufus just put it right in his head?
I didn't want
think
to
that
kill
would
him.
be
He's
dumb.
not a
It
I
wouldn't
would
have-
be so
Yeah.
dumb.
You think it would have been dumb?
henchman was an accidental
You wouldn't have bought that?
shot. I don't think that was intentional murder. It was a
Got it.
self-defense reflex shot.
Right.
If
Yeah,
he
'cause I thought he was gonna
killed,
shoot him.
if he did the headshot, it would have
Yeah.
been a very planned and thought thing.
Right.
So, but I think I would have shot him in the leg just for.
So you
good
wouldn't
measure.
have bought it. It wouldn't have been believable
no.
to you if he did that.
I'd be surprised.
Be surprised.
I think it would be a mistake for him to kill Anthony because
Yes.
they need him.
Yes.
Like the fact that him going back to Flynn having his right hand man, they would be able to kind of follow
Mm-hmm.
in those footsteps. So if they killed him off, it'd be kind of like, so what was the point of having this character in the first
Yes.
place?
Right.
So, but yes, I think.
I was thinking more of Rufus, like he's turning to the dark side. He's willing to
Too
shoot
dark.
people.
Too
No,
dark.
Too dark. Too
Too
dark.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
We're not ready for that.
Yep.
So Anthony does escape in the little scuffle there as a couple of
does.
the two mission control people come back in. So they escape, but they're able to get the program to work and they get rid of the virus and the moon. They're able to get our astronauts back home, reestablish contact with them.
Yay.
Hooray!
Hey.
And Jean gives. I like that she gives Catherine. He gives Catherine a little sup there in the mission control. Like you did it. You did it. You did it, girl. You got our boys home.
Yeah.
Then we also have Wyatt talking to Maria at home, and then as we talked about, we see Flynn is with young Gabriel sticking an epinephrine pen.
So creepy.
Yes.
It just freaked me out because I was like, what
Yeah,
are you
it didn't
doing?
look like he was saving him. It looked like he was doing
No,
something
so I
nasty.
thought he was like suffocating him, like
No,
choking him
I
or
thought
something.
he
He was like on
like-
top of him.
I thought he was stabbing him at
Yeah.
first, and I was
Right.
like, "Wow, Timeless, we're getting really
Yeah, I
dark
know.
here." And then I
Right.
realized that was a needle, and I was like, "What?" And then
Even that, you're like, why?
I was so
Right.
I thought he was trying to take like a DNA
Yes.
I
sample.
thought he
and
was
I was
injecting him with AIDS or something. I was like, what the hell are you doing?
there was a lot of things going through my brain. Epinephrine was not one of them.
And even, you can see even Wyatt's stunned from like, what? You're saving this kid? What's going on? Even he's not sure exactly what
But I like
Flynn's
that
doing.
he was like, "I need to put a pin in that
Yeah,
and ask
exactly.
that later."
Yeah. So our crew makes it back, and we find out finally we get the unredacted file from Flynn. They finally get the team gets to see that, and we find out that Gabriel was his half brother who died from that bee sting. But now he's going back and saved his life. And Lucy's getting really irritated because Flynn, of course, can go through time, changing anything without any. He doesn't worry about it.
No consequences.
Yes.
But that's the moment where we, like Alexis and I were talking about, you could just
don't worry.
just
go back.
You
just
can
wait.
save her later.
Be patient. Just do it.
Yeah.
But I do like the ending there with Lucy and Rufus, as Rufus is talking about what he's done and just wondering, like, is he not sure how he feels about these changes that he's going through.
This is the first time he's ever killed somebody. Like, that's gonna resonate with you for a
And he said, but he said it doesn't bother him. I think he's owning it.
Well,
I think
bothered.
he's going.
I think he's
He's
bothered.
bothered
just,
that he doesn't feel more about it.
which is something that most people will go to therapy.
I'd say a little
for, but we don't have
bothered,
time
but
for
I
that.
think more than anything, he's also proud. You know,
But at least it's a henchman, you know.
it's a henchman.
Just saying.
Yeah, it was only
One
henchman
of the
one.
bad guys, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not like he killed the random people the way.
I
that
mean-
is one thing, like, this episode did humanize Flynn a bit more for us.
They
But
did.
he still kills people randomly and doesn't care.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like, because I mean, certainly we've seen Flynn kill lots of people, and even though we're
Yes.
getting to see a little bit more about him, do you feel like that balances the scales enough?
No, he's still
He's
still a bad guy.
He's a human who's going through something terrible and going through any means necessary to do it, but he's going through it the wrong way.
Would you say, like, he's not a sociopath, but he kind of is in terms
He's
of
getting
doesn't
there.
He's a sociopath.
care
He's getting there.
about killing people. He is
Yeah.
he's fully focused on his mission and will kill anybody in his wake.
Yeah.
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 I'm getting to the point, though, of the show, I need to
But he's
have
got
that
some feeling there,
Flynn-centric
yeah.
episode.
I need more backstory.
Because it's just...
Yes.
Yeah,
I
because
don't-
it's rough because we've seen episodes with him where he, like I said, like when we were back with, was it the Spanish? No, on the Alamo, where he's like, whoa, that wasn't the plan. You don't need to kill people. There's women and children in
yeah.
there. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But in this one, because his mother was in this one, it was kind of like, no,
Right.
nothing happening here. I'm just gonna kill people to get what I want.
But remember in the Alamo, we're not sure that he didn't know Lucy was in there too.
Well, that's the thing. It
If he
doesn't.
knew Lucy was in there, he wouldn't want him killing the women and children.
I know, but he at least he didn't even know that Lucy was in there.
But
at
we don't know
first.
that. We don't know that for sure.
I don't know.
Yeah. I just need to have a better idea of just what Flynn's main objective is, because he's
Yes.
traveling.
We're never
at
gonna get
least
that
to
until
us
the
as
end.
to viewers.
Yeah.
The time travel seems very haphazard. I mean, they're getting bits and pieces that they use them
That's
throughout
true.
the point.
There's no.
But you think if the main idea is to stop Rittenhouse, and then we've talked about this many times, that you just don't go back all the way to the beginning and stop it
Yeah.
right there from the beginning.
Well, unless she journaled these events because they were events that
That's
were
true.
critical events in the development
Yes.
of Rittenhouse.
True, but if you just go back all the way to the beginning and stop it from even getting
cut it
started.
at the roots, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I need an explanation about why they don't just do that, and they're doing all these different kind of.
I think. I mean, I don't know if we have time for predictions.
Well, you
but-
know what? In fact, why don't we do some predictions right now?
Yes.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Alexis, you've
Clock's
said
a
it.
little fast.
It
I
has
know.
happened.
I just wanted to. I also saw what the
Yeah.
producer's writing. I think with the journal. I mean, I don't know if it's going to happen because I would like for a season 2, but I know we can't keep up this exact problem of like we have to get rid of Rittenhouse, things like that. But I do in my thoughts, I feel like they didn't stop Rittenhouse, and that's why she's recording everything, because she wanted to maybe fix it later on. And maybe never got the chance to for whatever reason, maybe health, or maybe she got what she
Yeah.
wanted and got her sister back, and she was like, well, I don't want to forget these things, so I'm going to write them down because we didn't finish what we started, so hopefully I can work on it later. Or like I said, maybe something just detrimental happens and they just couldn't get to do it, so they've just been kind of logging everything that they've been doing. I mean, now she's not going to do it because she found out.
So
that
you
it's
think
a
that
problem.
Rittenhouse actually went back and messed something up before all of this?
No.
No.
Just
I
later,
just think that's
Lucy
something.
writes
I
it.
just think something bad just happens to the point where they can't fix
Right.
Rittenhouse. So she, for the rest of her life, she's kind of
She
regretting it.
scrambles
So
to put it
Yeah.
together.
she's, so
I don't
she's
think
just kind
they're-
of putting it together just to keep log of it. Just like if you're
I
logging,
dig it.
you
Good
know.
theory.
But I don't think that there's a rest of her life beyond stopping Rittenhouse.
No,
I
that's
think
what
it
I'm
has to
saying.
happen.
Like
Yeah.
maybe she sticks with this team for as long as she can make it through, and that's just what she has left.
Yeah.
Is that she's literally keeping record of it, and we just never got to the end of it because of something that happened. Maybe Flynn continues this through it, but like I said, if we do do a season 2, I don't think we will continue with Rittenhouse. We'll
You
have
really?
something else.
See-
I think it'd be too much.
But look at the Empire in Star Wars, and look at even if you look at the Divergent movies and those movies, they have the
But
same
Divergent
enemy.
movies, there's only 3 movies.
But or
You can't do 3 seasons
What's
of
the
this.
Mockingjay?
Hunger
What's the girl
Games.
that Hunger Games? It's the same enemy.
Also,
and
3 movies.
Yeah, but it's a lifetime for the character. It's
I
like
mean,
dog years.
I would hope that we find out Flynn's motivation by the end of season 1, and then maybe we don't defeat Rittenhouse until the into season 2.
Yeah, that's fine.
But at least I would hope within our own watching right now is Flynn. We need more.
See, I would think the story would be over once Rittenhouse is gone. It's done.
Well, I think that'd be in season 2, and then something else happens.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind if they decided to keep doing Rittenhouse. I just think it would get old very quickly. Me personally.
Remember, The Mentalist went like 7 seasons
That is
with
the
Red
reason
John.
why I don't watch The Mentalist.
Yeah, but that was also frustrating to a lot of fans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they did finally change it up, and they did a couple seasons where he was out of that whole mix, just under the thumb of the
But
FBI.
I digress. The
Yes.
whole that was
Yes.
just my prediction is the fact that she made this book wasn't because she was trying to be malice and trying to
No.
get it into someone's hands. I feel like this is just her life project, and now
Yeah.
she's trying to
I
keep
could
all the
s-
records together.
I'm hoping that we don't. It's not to the end of the season that we get the Flynn's rationale for all this. I think we need it sooner than that because that's going to be a long
Yes.
season if we keep going.
Well,
But I can see the end of the season being Lucy picking up a journal and starting to document her
and
adventures.
will she write it differently now, knowing that she writes one?
I mean, or she might not write one at all. I have no idea.
Then
it
would
can
she
change.
purposefully not write it?
Ivan in the chat says maybe Mason's is season 2 big bad, or Mason.
yeah.
I'm sorry, Mason would be the big bad if he decided to take over Rittenhouse.
Maybe.
See, my guess is that they're still going to keep on Rittenhouse, but they can inject smaller players with it. There's a new Flynn.
it's
There's
like
a new...
it's just like the Marvel shows. It's pretty much like we all know that Hydra
Right,
is the big
exactly.
bad, but they changed the head of it, which is
Yeah.
fine. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
as long as they have some
I don't want to
antagonist
see the
that's
same. I
different,
don't want to
yeah.
see her dad being the head of Rittenhouse every single freaking time.
Right.
Like it's
No.
gonna get boring.
It could be very much like Alias. Once
Yeah.
you pull the
Right.
plug on SD6, and then it's everything's uncovered, and then you still have the adventures trying to stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, look at that, guys. We talked about a time travel show. We did it. Guys, if you thanks so much for watching, folks. Thanks for hopping in the chat. Of course, you can like us on Facebook. Give us those, no 1 stars, guys, 5 stars reviews on iTunes. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like the YouTube page. Thanks so much for hopping in the chat once again. And if you want to continue the conversation with us even after the show's over, Chris, where
Reach
can we
out to
find
me.
you?
Reach out to me at Chris Howard Live on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you there.
All right, and guys, you can find me online on Twitter and Instagram at Kari D Lane. That's KARIDLANE.
You can find me all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff at ATorres890. I'm trying to get my Saturdays back so you guys can play video games with me if you like. I have twitch.com/ATorres890 or just find me on PSN at ATEH890.
Ooh, you can challenge her from your own home. Look at that. You don't have to go out and find her on the internet.
No.
Can you charge people for that? You should set up a whole business.
I mean, maybe I would. Maybe you guys can help me fund my honeymoon.
Yeah, there you go.
Look at that.
Do it.
Yes. You can reach me on Twitter at HappyGoJackie. Send me tweets about how much you like Chris Howard's mustache, about any chair sitting techniques that I could adopt in the future so I don't sink. Just a lot of great stuff we can talk about online. Until next week, folks, we'll see you next Monday night here at 8 o'clock with another episode of the Timeless After Show here on AfterBuzz TV.
Bye, guys!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos,
The views expressed
Kevin
herein are those of the
Undergaro,
hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.